Yes, indeed. We have yet another artifact that I wish I could take back to Cerro Gordo.
I mean, think about how crazy it must have been for a miner to take a tram back up the hill.
Folks, we are on a treasure hunting bonanza today. Good morning. Welcome to Cerro Gordo, California. That trestle you see behind me is part of an old tramway system that brought $500 million worth of minerals out of this town. Ore would get loaded into buckets behind me and sent to Keeler 9 miles below. And connecting those 2 points is a cable. And today, I'm gonna walk the entirety of that cable, up and over mountains, through valleys, even through the desert. Wherever that cable goes, I'm gonna go. And my hope is somewhere along the way, I can find relics from the past to bring back to our museum. And there's stories of ore falling out of buckets as it would sway. I mean, there's even a story of a miner who rode a bucket back from Keeler to Cerro Gordo, stood up too close to a junction and lost his head. You know, I'm not looking for any skulls today, but I am hoping to find some cool things. It's gonna be a really long walk, so I gotta get going, but follow along and let's see what's out there. So the tramway started up there at the trestle that I was just sitting under, and the first station used to be right here. So right below the current chapel, you can see some of the old wire right there. There was a station here that supported the cable, and then another one right over there. If you look on that hill, you can see a little notch right about there. And that notch was the next station. And the ones near town are disassembled in the 60s because they sold off some of the wood. But as you go further over the mountains and you start hiking down, the wood was much more inaccessible. And so the majority of it is still there. So today what I'm gonna do is start walking and kind of just follow the cable exactly all the way down into Keeler in hopes to find some interesting relics from the past. All right, welcome to the first station along the tramway. As you can see, town is just back there, not too far. And that little notch we saw in the hillside is right here. And you can already see the cable. So the goal today is let the cable be our guiding light. Wherever this cable goes, I'm going to go. And so far that's meant I can walk along the road, but it's about to get very steep and hilly. So what I'm gonna do here is just poke around a little bit, see if I can find some stuff. I mean, it's a beautiful time of the day already. I mean, look at this. It's hard to beat. You can see sunrise and sunset over this valley today. To me, every part of this is interesting, you know? Every part of this is Cerro Gordo's history, you know, from the guy that nailed in this wood to whoever left that can over there. So I'm hoping today to find a few artifacts to bring back to the museum. That way I can better tell the story of Cerro Gordo and of the tram stations, you know? Imagine the undertaking to bring this all the way from Cerro Gordo up and all over all these hills, all the way down to Keeler. And right here, it probably doesn't seem too impressive having these big planks of wood. But this thing just goes over peaks and valleys that are super steep. And so, to me, it's an incredible feat for humans. Looks like we got some mines along the way, so that'll be fun, a little bonus mine exploration. And I'm excited, yeah, just to learn more about the tram, the land, and any of the people that worked both of those things. So let's explore around a little bit, see if we can't find an early treasure. This is cool. They took like an old tobacco tin, put this thing to obviously like hold it over maybe their belt to hold something in it. Either way, pretty sweet. Well, well, well. What do we have here? You know what I say. Don't tempt me with a good mind. Let's give it a little bit of a look. Not a lot, just a little. I know today's about the tramway, but let's give it a little shot. Doesn't just immediately end, so that's a good thing. Maybe it goes back a little ways. We got some bedding down there, which is terrifying because it could mean that an animal has chosen to make this their home. Yep. Nada. Whoa, that's trippy. Hand hewn. Look at that. Ew, a lot of rat poop. All right, let's get out of here. Just getting into the sun, so that'll make this wind a little bit better and the temperature. I had lost the cable for a little bit, but it appears I'm back on track. There it is. Now it's headed back down, and then it'll head back up. Oh, there you go. You see that? Far in the distance there is another transfer station. Hopefully my boot makes it. Here's the thing. Don't buy boots off Amazon. That happened within a week of having them. I duct taped it, didn't work. Don't blame that on the duct tape though, blame that on the boot. My point of reference is gonna be that transfer station up on that hill. So I'm just gonna walk straight along. Now this is getting interesting. You can see over here, there's a little structure. It seems to be made out of clay or stone. I'm wondering if this is one of the old Mexican smelters. So prior to it being a full-blown mining town with the most recent technology, there's these Mexican smelters that I'd heard rumors of and seen photos of, and that might be it. And look down there, there's a campsite there. There's obviously some old buildings. There looks to be water tanks over there, really old, falling down. And then we pick up the tram back over there. This looks like a ripe area for some treasure. Yeah, this is one of these old Mexican smelters. So this is probably, it's pre the town founding, so 1865. You figure this is like 1860-ish, so 160 years ago. It's incredible. It's just like prime metal detecting area. Because I always think, like, where would people sit? You know, if they just want to take a break, they probably want to sit on peaks and by trees. And so it seems if you're looking for treasure that fell out of people's pockets, around these trees it would be interesting, because they used to probably be a third of that size when this is active. And now they're like this and like that. Looks like a perfect viewpoint. So like if I was tired and I wanted to look over the valley, I would sit by those two trees. So I'm gonna look over there, see what's there, and then poke around over here as well. So I did a little searching and I found some things. This, and then this. This is a button, as you can see. And if you look closely, Levi Strauss & Co. That's it. That's it. I was so excited. And I dug and dug and... Not yet. But that's crazy. That's as close as I've ever been. That just proves the theory that they were in fact here and that the search is not in vain. So that pumps me up. I mean, the rest of this hunt down this tramway, I mean, who knows? Here's a fun game. So I found a tobacco tin already. How many of these do you think I want to find today? Do you guys guess below? And you're right, I will send you one. Look at all of this stuff. It's incredible. Like, this thing is a piece of the tramway history, and it's a piece of Cerro Gordo's history. You know, this thing helped bring millions and millions of dollars worth of ore down there. But the issue that I can foresee happening already is that any of this stuff that I find, it's pretty far from any road. Like, I'm a good hike in already, and I'm gonna go even further. Like this, boom, old ore bucket. See that? That's the scrap of the bucket there.
it would hang from the wire up there. But like, how do I get any of this stuff from, you know, miles away from any road all the way back up to Cerro Gordo? I mean, I can't even lift that thing up. You know what I think I'm gonna do? I have my InReach with me. I'm gonna track the geolocation of where all this stuff is. So in the future, if we develop a plan of how to get it and there's enough stuff, like I can't even get my Razor here, like a Polaris, an off-road vehicle, maybe up the wash if I walk it. But anyways, that's a good problem to have. If I have a problem of how to get treasure home, that means treasure's been found.
That's beautiful.
Look at that. Look at these like gears at the bottom. So I don't know if it was for water or like refining something, you know, sifting through something. Dang. What a view though, huh? Oh, it's gonna be a good day. When I really think about something like the tramway, what I think about is all the people that played a role in bringing it to life. You know, it's easy to see the rusted cable on the side of our road and, you know, not think twice about it. But it's worth thinking about how big of a feat it was back in the day. You know, this was like a marvel of engineering at the time. It allowed ore to be brought in a straight line over all sorts of natural obstacles. It saved so much money and time for these Western mines. And what I like to think about is it wasn't just ore that they were transporting. You know, they're bringing supplies to town and even humans. I mean, think about how crazy it must have been for a miner to take a tram back up the hill. You have to remember that this was a time before commercial airplanes. You know, before anyone in the masses had a way to get a view thousands of feet off the ground that moved. You know, it must have been irresistible and almost seemed like being a bird. And then I try to remember coming back down and explaining to a friend, you know, what it feels like to be flying. But, you know, all these miners were well into their 20s and 30s for the very first time they went on these tram buckets. It must have been incredibly memorable. And all sorts of people went into making that happen. You know, first they had to develop the wire rope. That originally happened over in Germany around 1830. It made its way over to the States and was first manufactured by John Roebling in the 1940s. He mainly used it to make suspension bridges, and he'd go on to become famous for designing and building the Brooklyn Bridge in 1883. By about the 1850s, the wire rope made the jump over to the mining industry, mainly in New Jersey. And it wasn't until kind of the post-1865, post-Civil War Western mining boom that came that there was a lot of this demand out west for an economic way to transport the ore. And there's a guy out here named Andrew Halliday, and he's the one that made the first real tramway for the West. You know, he started selling these systems out of San Francisco. And side note, he become later known as the guy that created the San Francisco cable car system. And it wasn't until 1906 that a tramway made its way to Cerro Gordo. And this was after the silver had had its heyday, and it was before the zinc boom came. But the first tramway was created and went from Cerro Gordo to some smelters just outside of Keeler. It broke a lot, and the mine wasn't booming at the time, so the first tram here was pretty much a failure. And then, after L.D. Gordon arrived on the scene, he found zinc, and he'd hired Leishman and Sons Company to create a better tram all the way down to the Keeler train station. And it cost about $250,000 in 1914. That's something like $6 million in today's money. And it helped turn Cerro Gordo back into a boomtown. This engineering, this feat of its day, made Cerro Gordo back into the largest producer of zinc in America. And that probably wouldn't have happened without the tram system working at the time. You know, you have to think it took an army of men to construct this tram and an even bigger army to create the idea for this tramway to even exist. You know, from the metal rope to the shape of the stations. You know, there are so many individuals that all dedicated their life to creating something monumental in their day that really revolutionized a whole industry. And I think today it's so easy to overlook. And that's how it is with so many things you pass by every day and think nothing of it. But for me, what I try to do and what I get enjoyment out of is just to take a second and to get into the granular history of everything around you. You know, it has to just leave you in a sense of awe, you know, of the inspiration and the dedication. You know, today, the tram might just look like rusted wire on the ground, but back in the day, it was someone's whole life's work. And that's cool. I mean, to me at least. And so you might not have a tramway around, but next time you're in a city, you know, tilt your head up and look at those buildings all around you and try to think how many people played a role in bringing that thing to life. And it has to inspire some type of awe or some type of wonderment, or at least it does for me.
Okay, all right, here we are at the next tram station. And now we're getting further away from any of the roads or any of the people. So, and I mean, sitting here now, I'm afraid of heights, and I can't imagine. You see, there's spans from there to there where you're 800-900 feet off the ground in this cable. Forget that. In these little buckets. And imagine being here and seeing your buddies that were working. You're like, oh, hey, Jim, how's it going? Yeah, just headed back up. Oh, man. So I think what I'm hoping for the rest of the walk is to find, you know, when these buckets were swinging, you know, from the wind, some of the ore would drop out. And then again, if the drunk guys were up there, who knows what was falling out of the buckets then, or they were thrown out of the buckets. So I think there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff down. You can see in the further distance there, it goes past the road and then it continues on off the road. But from here to the road, I mean, we're a couple miles from the road there and way over there. So this is pretty far out there. So hopefully there's some things to be found out here, and I get to find them. My second favorite story related to the tram is when L.D. Gordon owned it. His wife Cornelia lived up there for a while, and instead of having to go down to the store, she would send her shopping list in one of the ore buckets all the way down to Keeler, which you can kind of see down there, and then somebody there would know who it was from, get the groceries, and then later put them back on the bucket and send them all the way up. All right, I think it's time to continue the trek on. It's beautiful here. It's quite a spot. Uh-oh, we got a debate on our hands. This is a Copenhagen snuff tin. Does this count towards the tobacco tins for today? I'm gonna give it a yes. So that puts us at 2 tins today. A lot more hiking to do. But a new one, Copenhagen. 2. It appears now I get to walk back downhill to then go back uphill and then back down and then back up. But that's all right. It's a beautiful day out here. Oh, we got a ladder. Huh, there must have been another part of it here that they needed ladders to get up to. And over the years, it just collapsed. Oh, look at that. What is this? Another Copenhagen snuff. That brings the count to 3 since we're counting these. 3 tobacco tins so far. Okay, at the next little station, and it's getting increasingly steep. And that must be increasingly terrifying if you were on the actual tram, because now it's even further off the ground. But there's so much wood out here. And as you may know, I hate wasting wood. So when I see beams like that, whew, I just wonder how to get them back. Whoa! Slipping and sliding. Oh, cool. There's an old glass thing from the power. Because the first tramway at Cerro Gordo wasn't powered.
and that one was about 1908, I think. And then I think power came to Cerro Gordo around 1913, and so this was like 1914, so it was a powered tram, although the majority of the work was done by gravity. So gravity would bring the heavy buckets, the full buckets down, and that obviously would bring the empty buckets back up. And there was 3 brakes way back at Cerro Gordo, and those brakes, you know, controlled it so it was manageable. Hey, look at this. This is one of the ore buckets. The original ore buckets used to be dangling from this cable high above.
Now, what I anticipated happening earlier is happening, meaning this thing's here. I can dig it out, that's no problem. But this thing, if you look at that, right next to it. Ha! Some ore and slag right next to it. So this thing, I'll dig it out, but
we are very far from the road and up a pretty steep incline. So I'm not getting here with any type of UTV.
not getting here with a car.
So how do I get this back to Cerro Gordo? I mean, this is like
A true piece of Cerro Gordo history right here. A couple people come up here, spend a day. I mean, if you dedicate a day to it, it'll be a workout, but you can get it. I mean, the roads.
Let's say the road is 3 miles from here. Bring this 3 miles. If you dedicate a day, you're getting that back. And if you get that back,
I mean, you're recovering a amazing piece of Cerro Gordo's history. So I need a couple people to come, grab the other side of that. I mean, just take it 100 yards at a time, 50 yards at a time, who cares? Pack a lunch, pack a dinner.
and hike it back to the road, and then it'll be no problem. That's a goal. Before winter's up, this will be gone. This will be back at Cerro Gordo, sitting in the museum, sitting outside the museum. Well, folks, things are starting to heat up. Because if you look at this, which I did a little experiment on, this right here is what we call in the biz high grade.
This is galena. This is what they're mining out here. This is what must have fell out of a bucket. This thing is heavier than I can describe to you. The reason I know it's galena, it's soft, and if you mash it open, Glitter City, you see that?
That's that high grade. That's awesome. If only it didn't weigh like, you know, literal lead, I'd put it in my backpack, but I'll keep a couple pieces. Is that, oh, I think right underneath that little cactus thing, there's another piece of galena, or at least something with a high copper content because it's
bright green. Let's go check it out. Oh, get out of the way, bush. Oh yeah, that's galena. Oh yeah. Some cactus. Ow. Oh.
yes.
There it is. Even more galena. A bunch fell out around here.
LD Gordon probably wasn't too happy about this ore falling out, but look, holy cow. Can you see how shiny that is? It's just Glitter City. Look at that. I believe it's green from copper. I want to bring this back because this is like a true specimen piece.
All right, I'm bringing it. You know,
we're doing a workout. I'm bringing that piece of galena back because I might not be able to get an ore bucket.
just cracked it. But I can bring some galena back. I just got stabbed by cactus. It's my fault. I bumped into you. My bad, my bad. Ugh. Yes! Yes!
Slipping and sliding on the shale. They're basically like little razor blades. Look at that.
Just don't want to fall. But it's hard not to start speeding up when...
Oh. There's an ore bucket to find. Oh, damn it. All right, this is a specimen. This is exactly what I was hoping to find. From the J.H. Montgomery Machine Co., Denver, Colorado, USA. It's exactly what the ones up at town say now. Imagine getting this thing back there. I'm gonna need more than 2 people now. I'm gonna need a whole crew. And we're hiking it to the road way over there. That is awesome. So that's 2 on the day. 2 ore buckets. There's a 3rd right there. Let's not fall this time. Well, well, well. Look at this one. This one's for like liquid of some type. Oil, water, fuel. Look, there's like a drain at the bottom. Somewhere to put in up top, but it could still hook into the same cable system that's laying right there. Goes on back up. Pretty steep little hike. This is awesome. So this is number 3. Number 4 is right there. Let's go investigate. Careful. These boots. Blame Jeff Bezos. Look at this one. This one's also just like almost perfect. There's no lettering on this one, but still like remarkable shape. It would be such a beautiful addition to the museum. I mean, now that we have like critical mass, it makes the effort much more worthwhile because there's 4 already. I mean, who knows, now that it's just rain and ore buckets, there might be even more. The cable goes that way. You get a crew, let's get a crew of, I don't know, 10, 15. Like I said, pack breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Staying true to my course. Following the line, and it looks like down there in the Joshua trees, there's a bunch of old wood. So imagine that was the next station over there. And rocks are getting into my shoe because Jeff Bezos sold me bunk shoes. So here you can see a pretty good example of how the tram worked. So there was 3 different lines, as you can see, and this one is much thicker than this one. So this center one was the track, and it was stationary, so it wasn't going anywhere. And then the carts hooked into this thinner line over here and were either brought up or down, on either side of it. And it's remarkable to see that here, when it fell, kind of fell in that order. But that's how tram worked. Looks like we're coming upon another station here. So I'll do some hunting around. Maybe we can find a couple more tins, add to that tin count, or hey, who knows? And now we're getting down into Joshua tree territory. Joshua trees are beautiful. I really like them, but they don't grow above a certain elevation. So if you're coming up Cerro Gordo Road, you'll see them all the way, and then suddenly they'll stop. And that's because they don't like growing that high. I must continue. The sun is telling me to hurry up. This is supposed to be a day hike to Keeler, which still looks awfully far away to me. I don't know how it looks on camera, but looks like I got a little bit of walking to do. So I gotta stop spending so much time looking at the dirt. Look at me, look at that, that's super cool. Joshua tree break, look at that. So you have to imagine when they downed the line, this tree wasn't that big, and now over the years it's grown up to be there. Ha! That's awesome. It's like a station fell over and tumbled down. Well, where did it tumble down? It fell into the wash. Of course it did. Well, just down from that, what do we have? 3. Not 1, but 3 ore buckets in the wash. Of course it's in the wash. So that makes the count 7. Look at this thing. It's got like, I bet this is for sitting in. You see it's got like a place probably for your feet and maybe a bench to sit. Maybe this is the type of one that the guys rode back up on. But 7 ore buckets today. Down in the wash. Yes! Look at that wheel. Look how crazy that is. That thing's probably 8 feet tall. And this thing over here, it's getting super windy up Good luck getting this thing back to Cerro Gordo. This stuff is crazy. I've never seen this big of machinery preserved. Around here at least. But again, how would anybody get out of here? But then that makes you think, how'd they get this in here? You know, mules and stuff. Look at all these old levers. Look, there's a brake. This is just so cool. Not too much sunlight left, and I'm probably just halfway, if that, to Keeler. So we're gonna explore here real quick. Well, if nothing else from this area, we do have one update. 4. Count them, 4 tobacco tins. I believe bringing the count of tobacco tins to 7 and ore carts to 7. So, if you're following along at home, and if you guess less than 7, I'm sorry, you're out of the game. But this little pocket here, I think this is where they threw all their trash. But another interesting thing, let me show you, is if we go over here, written on the wheel of this thing, where the cable was, is the company that made it. And back at Cerro Gordo, I have something that says Leishan and Sons from St. Louis. It requires a full day exploration, but I don't have that time to do today, so I'm gonna have to move on, continue on the tram, but at least I found this. I mean, look at that wheel there. It's so beautiful. It appears we're almost to another transfer station, but what have we here? Super cool. Amazing. All right, onward to that peak. Update on the boot, real bad. Well, we are up here now. You can see almost the other peaks over there. It's getting to that beautiful stage of the day where everything kind of glistens a little bit. Cloud coverage is nice. It should make a nice sunset. Now this part of the trek has me going basically right on top of the road. So the cable must have gone overhead of here, and now it's come down here. You see the bucket way up there? I kind of walked up this ways, and now I'm there. And now I need to go to the very top. But this looks extremely steep and quite treacherous. I just hope I can get up there by the sunset. It's kind of the final stop before Keeler. So if I can get up there, I can at least see the sunset. It'll probably be dark by the time I get into Keeler, but almost there. You can see the bucket much clearer now. Right there. And we're there. Let's go. And look at this, right before the summit, another ore bucket. And the ore buckets take the lead over the tobacco tins. 8 ore buckets, 7 tobacco tins. Well, it's almost a moment of truth. This hike is serious. Oh, it's all just slippery rocks, so. Oh. There she is. What I've been hiking all this time for. And look at that, sun coming right through it. Woo! I'm winded. But this is beautiful. Oh, look at that. Oh, come on.
Now we're above that bucket. Just took a pretty good tumble coming down this. It doesn't look steep, but it is very steep actually. It's just all this jagged rock. I have a big bruise on my arm. Oh. The sun's setting. Next station reached. Light's still holding out for now. There appears to be another one right down there. And then I'm just gonna walk that wash. It's a nice ladder. This is a big structure. This must have been like a main terminal or something. Look at that, the cable's still wrapped around. So cool. Yeah, a couple water tank looking things. Huh. That's cool. Oh wow, look at that. Oh, so cool. Let's get down in the wash. 12 hours of wash walking. Ah. Some of the glass. Cool. Onward to Keeler. Well, with the little light that's left, I still got my trail for now. Afterglow of the sunset's there, looking beautiful. I mean, look at that. It's stunning. Don't you worry, even in the nighttime, I'm staying true to my quest. Something to say about that, right? Say you're gonna do something and you do it. I said I'm bringing you guys to Keeler along the tram. We're going to Keeler along the tram. This is gonna end at the railroad. We'll make it eventually. Yep, it's proper dark now. Not like fake dark, but actual dark. And Keeler doesn't look like it's getting any closer. That's all right. I'm following the track, and it looks like I got another station in front of me and another drop-off. Just what I didn't want. Well, folks, we made it to where the first tram stopped. There's 2 trams at Cerro Gordo's history, and the first one stopped here. And just because the first tram stopped here, including this creepy pit of death and a wall, does not mean we're to Keeler yet. Still far in the distance, and that's where the second tram, the only tram that worked, stopped at the railroad. So we're continuing. Our mission wasn't just to get here, it was to get all the way to Keeler. I mean, plus, how would the mission end here? Camp out in the middle of nowhere. So, hey, there it is, there's the cable. There's our guiding light. Well, folks, almost there. Overstated, but you may notice that there's 0 lights in Keeler at night. And folks, there you have it. Right at Railroad Ave is the old railroad station. Feels like this video could turn into a horror movie real quick, but that's the old railroad station. Trains used to pull in there, get loaded up, leave out the back. And if you're curious, Shoe did make it, but it's pretty much all gone. Now, one more stop on this tour. I have a trailer here in Keeler. show you my crib. So this is it. Home sweet home in Keeler. And if you want to talk about horror films, let me show you the inside. Got my bed. And got a lot of starts to a lot of projects. The idea here is that people, if they come with the wrong type of car and they can't take them all the way to Cerro Gordo, then they can park here. I want to create this into a lounge. So imagine put like 2 or 3 couches here, put a refrigerator in, put some drinks in it, and let people just hang out until I can come down and get them with my truck. But as you can see, given all the financial strain of the town itself, this is put on pause. I mean, there's a hole here. If you lift this, it goes right to the bottom. That's the ground. Toilet doesn't work, nothing works. No shower. But one day, this will be nice again. And it's nice enough for tonight. I mean, it's better than sleeping outside, so there you go. Oh, the sheets are clean at least. That's awesome. Oh boy.
And just like that, I'm back at Cerro Gordo in my cozy little cabin. And I'll tell you what, nothing makes me appreciate this cabin more than spending a night in the trailer down in Keeler. Anyways, the final count when all is said and done. 8 tins, and I think 9 ore buckets. That's pretty good. I'll trade an ore bucket for a tin all day. But, as I said before, I will send one of these to one of you. I will send you a message. Thank you for playing along during this video. And thank you for watching the video. You know, the support just means everything to me. You know, being able to see this channel grow over the past 10 months has been one of my favorite things. And each week getting to sit down and share these videos with people from all over the world is truly special. So I thank you deeply. If you're not subscribed, I hope you do. I have a lot more of these coming. If you have ideas for future videos, throw them below. Other than that, I hope this week you look around and appreciate the things big and small and all the personalities that went into creating them. And until next week, I'm signing out. Hope you guys have a good one.